What's up, everybody? It's your boy King L Bay. I'm going to break this video down so y'all can start, rocking with your boy, and we're going to talk about this, this right here. We're going to talk about your relationship to the Federal Reserve System. So I want to break this up. Let me bring this back into the screen. Share the screen. And I want to talk about this. This is going into the Federal Reserve stuff. They had things in plain sight. So I want you to understand what's going on when you're dealing with the Internal Revenue Service. And we're gonna break this down. I don't want to make videos super long because I don't watch really super long videos. It's most people attention span ain't that long. You know, most people don't like. Some people do, but the majority of us don't. So let's talk about this. Chapter 1, Definitions, Organization, and General Provision Affecting the System. They're talking about the Federal Reserve, branch banking, and buildings. So it says for erection, it says Reserve bank branches establish directors continue discontinuance of branches approval for erection of branches bank buildings the Federal Reserve bank buildings. This is talking about so you can get in here. They call it civil money penalties, right? When you're dealing with that's why everything is commercial and you're dealing with civil rights. We're talking about this currency. I don't want to go into all of this. You have to go into this chapter and look at a lot of the stuff for yourself. But I just wanted to show you where I'm coming from here. You know, 12 USC Chapter 3 Federal Reserve System, Banks and Banking. So you need to really assess what you're reading and understand, and they got all of this stuff so you can understand. Like they talk about acceptance of draft or bills drawn by banks in foreign countries or dependents of United States for the purpose of dollars exchange. So you got to understand what they mean. Foreign countries or dependencies of the United States for the purpose of dollar exchange. So a lot of us are in a dependent status. We're not in an independent status. You are in a dependent status. So they're going to charge you. So I can get into a whole lot, but I only got a short window to cover this in. So let me get started. So the first thing I want to go over is breaking this down. Chapter 1, Definitions, Organization, and General Provisions Affecting the System. So you will understand where you at and where the jurisdiction, where the long arm jurisdiction come from. They're using long arm. It's called extraterritorial jurisdiction because they have a right. Wherever you take the property, they have a right to the property. For example, if I give you my watch, I don't care if you go to France. I don't care where you go. It's my watch. I still got jurisdiction over that watch. If you stole my watch and moved to France, right? Let's say I got $1 million watch. Let's say I know people in France. I can press charges. I can fly out to France, and if I got evidence, I still can sue you for that watch because it's my property. If you take it to California, and I live in Texas, it's still my property. That's called extra long jurisdiction. Just because you took the property and went to another state, that doesn't diminish my right to that property that you got around your wrist, okay, or you have in your possession. So let's go on. It says definition. Whenever the word bank is used in this chapter, the word shall be held to include state bank, banking associations, and trust companies, except where national bank or federal banks, Federal Reserve banks are specifically referred to. For the purpose of this chapter, a state bank include any bank which is operating under the code of law for the District of Columbia. So any state bank include any bank is operating under the code of law for the District of Columbia. So when you go to the state bank, those banks are operating in the District of Columbia. Just because they're in the state of wherever you live at, they are operating for the purpose of under the code of law of the District of Columbia. I need y'all to understand that. So a lot of y'all need to be, when you go into these banks, you need to be looking under the code of law of the District of Columbia. I need y'all to understand that. The term national banks and National Banking Association used in this chapter shall be held to be synonymous and interchangeable. I want y'all to see that. National Bank and National Banking Association is used in this chapter shall be held to be synonymous and interchangeable. The term member bank shall be held to mean any national bank, state bank or trust company which has become a member of the Federal Reserve Bank. Any bank that's a part of that, that's a member bank. I want you to understand they're operating out of the code of the District of Columbia. The term board shall be held to mean Board of Governors of the Federal. No, I'm sorry. The term board shall be held to mean the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. The term district shall be held to mean the Federal Reserve District. So I'm gonna show you all of this stuff is these they got these states set up in districts, and I'm going to show you that the Federal Reserve districts in these states, the state of is within these districts. They are a union, and I'm gonna show you that. The term Reserve Bank shall be held to mean Federal Reserve Bank. The term Continental United States shall mean the states of the United States and the District of Columbia. You understand this? It says the term Reserve Bank shall be held to mean the Federal Reserve Bank. The term the Continental United States shall means the states of the United States and the District of Columbia. You know, the District of Columbia is not even a state, but they incorporating this in their statutes because their banks is operating out of the code of law of the District of Columbia. They embed the District of Columbia got a contract with the United States Corporation. They're under contract. They're managing the Federal Reserve System. So they have long or jurisdiction based on their property rights, of their corporate property rights. So you using Federal Reserve notes. The term bonds and notes of the United States, bonds and notes of the government of the United States, and bonds or notes of the United States used in this chapter should be held to include certificates of indebtedness and treasury bills issued under 3104 of the Title 31. So I want you to understand how this stuff is operating. So you're using the Federal Reserve notes. You're operating in a private jurisdiction that the United States is managing, that they own all the intellectual property rights of the Federal Reserve System dealing with the Federal Reserve notes. You need to understand what's going on. They adopted the United States bankrupt itself, and why do you think they did that? They did that so they could try to usurp the Moors, so they don't have to pay the Moors. Y'all, people think that all of this stuff is mere coincidence. There are contracts on the table. There are, y'all thinking that these politics, this international politics, that's big business. So let me move on, right? Let me see, do I want to go? See, I want to go over this, but see, I need to go over this. The term banks and National Banks Association, member banks, boards, district, and reserve banks shall have the meaning assigned to them in Section 221 of this title, except as otherwise provided. The term affiliate shall include any corporation, business trust, association, or other similar organization. So when you guys get these EINs and all of this, you become associated. You become it shall include any corporation, business, trust, association, or other organization. So when you get these ITINs, the social security numbers, and you get EINs, you become an associate, you become an agent. You need to understand what that means. Okay, of which a member bank directly or indirectly owns or controls either a majority of the voting shares or more than 50% of the number of shares voted in the elections of its directors, trustees, or persons exercising similar functions of the preceding elections or controlling the manner of election of majority of directors, trustees, or other uh, persons exercising similar functions, of which it is held directly or indirectly through stock ownership or any other manner by stockholders or members who own or control either the majority of the shares of such bank or more than 50% of the numbers of shares voted by the election of such banks at the preceding election or by trustees of the benefit of the shareholders of such bank. So I really want y'all to understand when y'all talking about these governments and all of this stuff, we're talking about this bank. Y'all think that y'all voting for the president and all of this stuff. We talking about the politics dealing with this bank, this Federal Reserve System. That's what y'all have to understand. This stuff is about the Federal Reserve System. We dealing with international and domestic politics, dealing with this Federal Reserve money. Of which a majority of directors, trustees, and other persons exercise similar functions are directors of any one member bank which owns or controls directly a majority shares of capital stock of the member bank or more than 50% of the number of shares voted for the election of the member banks at the preceding election or control in the manner of the election of the majority of directors of member banks or for the benefit of the wholes of the shareholders and members, all or substantially all the capital stock of the member banks is held by trustees. What I want you guys to understand and take away from this and understand what's going on. The reason why the United States is a democracy is we're dealing with this. A democracy means mob rule. So these people own majority shares of the stock. They own 50%, right? So they got the controlling interest on how this system is ran. So y'all guys got to understand when we talk about the 50 states and we're talking about these districts, they're formed unions and they're talking about the Federal Reserve banking system. That's what y'all got to understand. The trustees, these boards of trustees are operating under the 14th Amendment capacity under these districts, right? Under these Federal Reserve districts, operating out of the District of Columbia, and these people are managing and operating these funds. So this is why you guys, financially, if you're not making certain people a lot of money, you're not gonna make a lot of money. If you're a rebel to the cause, you're gonna be broke. Let's just keep it true. A lot of people have to fall in line and say, you know what, we gonna do as in Rome do, and we gonna, they're gonna say, when you in Rome, do as what the Romans do. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people just fall in line. You know what I'm saying? Because the system, trying to deal with the system is a very challenging situation. And they are well informed. And I tell people they keep themselves on information. They pay attention to what we're doing so they can always be 10 steps ahead. The the Federal Reserve District membership of national banks. The continental United States exclude Alaska shall be divided into less than 8 or nor or more than 12 districts. No more than 12 districts. Let me read this again. The continental United States, I want to say this to you again. The continental United States, excluding Alaska, shall be divided into not less than 8 nor more than 12 districts. Y'all want to know what the continental? Let me see. Let me stop. Let's see where the continental of the United States is. Let me see. Wikipedia. The continental United States. Okay. The continental United States is the area of the United States of America that is located in the continent of North America. I'm going to repeat. The continental United States in the area of the United States that is located in the continent of North America include 49 of the 50 states, 48 of which are located in south of Canada and north of Mexico, known as the lower 48. The others being Alaska and the District of Columbia. So everything here, right? The 48 states, excluding Alaska, right? The other being Alaska and the District of Columbia, which contain the federal capital of Washington, D.C. The only state which is not part of this is Hawaii and is an island to the Pacific Ocean and not of the North America. So I just want to break this down. So when we go back to this, you understand what they're doing when we're talking about the Federal Reserve System, and I can show you what this is. So now you will understand that every state is broken up. The state of is a bank. Now you can see for yourself. I did not say it, they said it. Now let's go back. Let's go back. Come on, let's break this down. The continental United States, excluding Alaska, shall be divided into not less than 8 nor more than 12 districts. Such districts may be readjusted and new districts may from time to time be created by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, not exceeding 12 in all. So they can't exceed 12. So I want you to understand that you're dealing with all of these states or banks, and they all have to pay a membership, provided that the district shall be apportioned with due regard to the convenience and customary course of business shall not necessarily be continuous with any state called, I said continuous, it's called terminus with any state or states. Such districts shall be known as the Federal Reserve districts. So all of these, they all Federal Reserve districts and may be designated by number. When a state of Alaska or Hawaii hereafter admitted into the Union of the Federal Reserve, I want you to understand this is the new union, this is the new deal. The district shall be readjusted to by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System in such a manner to include such state. Every national bank, any state shall, upon commencing business within 90 days after the admission into the union in which it's located, right, become a member of the Federal Reserve System by subscribing and paying stock in the Federal Reserve Bank of of its district according to the provisions of the chapter shall thereupon be an insured bank under the Federal Deposit Insurance Act, and failure to do so shall subject such bank to the penalty provided by 501 of this title. So when you guys talk about the state of whatever state you're in, you're dealing with a bank. You in the Federal Reserve System. It got nothing to do with this. So the Constitution, they still got to follow certain provisions in the Constitution, but they have created a new situation through contract based on you doing business with these Federal Reserve System and these Federal Reserve notes. And you need to understand that. And most of y'all don't. So let me go through this so I can show you guys how the Federal Reserve System works, what it look like. Let me get this. So I want you to look at this word. We read this word real quick, and want you to look at this word. And it said something about the states or states shall not be contumelious with. And then it says having the same borders or limits. So contumelious with the traditional countries of Ireland are not always contumelious with the administrative division. So it giving you a word. So having the same borders. So they letting you know that each state or states having the same borders or limits. So this is why the federal government have limited jurisdiction based on the capacity of the 14th Amendment dealing with the Federal Reserve System and its districts. It's limited in its capacity because it's dealing with the subject matter and we're talking about the acts of bankruptcy. But we're not going to go into all of that. I just want to break this down. Now, let me find the districts. Let me show y'all the districts, okay? Where's the districts? Is this the district? I'll go with the district. District. I just had it. Let me get the district family. What do I do with the district? I just pulled it up. I just had it. Okay, there you go. Let me stop sharing and let me come back. So let's look at the district. So remember, they can't create more than 12 districts. So these are the districts of the United States. Excuse me 1 second, family. Sorry about that. I gotta get through this in the next 15 minutes. So here are all the districts, okay? In each district, these are banks. So all of this District 9 is that's all under the same district. So District 1 is this Maine, Rhode Island, I think that's Connecticut, New Hampshire, you know. Then you got District 2 is New York. What is this? Um, nah, this is that's. Let me see. That is New Hampshire. That's in District 1, New York. But let's just break this down. Then you got District 3. That's a part of um, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland. You just got to follow the error. I think error. If Maryland might be in District Maryland in District 4. Um, you just got to look at all of these different um, District 4 is West Virginia, Virginia, um, um, North Carolina, South Carolina, and then you got District 11 is Alabama, Georgia, Florida. So each one of these are got their own districts set up. I don't know how in the particulars, but it's breaking it down. So when you in the state of any of these states, these are the Federal Reserve districts operating out of the District of Columbia under contract. So when you get these Federal Reserve notes, I want you to understand that these are banks that you're dealing with, and you're dealing with federal districts. Federal districts. And it's 11 of them right now. There's not 12. So if another one, they only can have 12. So Alaska is a part of District 9. Now it's Hawaii. I don't see Hawaii on here at all. So Hawaii may be the last district that they're trying to pull in. So y'all might need to be thinking about something dealing with Hawaii in that relationship because they're not under that district. And even under District 1, Puerto Rico is still under District 1. So y'all got to understand what's going on in these Federal Reserve districts. This is why these Federal Reserve notes circulate through these districts. All these banks, Vermont and two, you got all of these different states, dealing with in District 10. You got all of this Utah, Oklahoma, Kansas, New Mexico, Wyoming. You got all of these different states. They're all under one. They're all these states is in this district. So like if you go to a bankruptcy court, you gotta find a district within this. You're gonna find a federal bankruptcy court within this district. All right, it's going to be dealing to this particular district, and you got to understand these districts. A lot of y'all don't understand your relationship with the Federal Reserve. So when we start talking about the internal revenue service, you don't understand what's going on. Let me hurry up and get through this. So let's talk about your relationship with the state of. So I want Morris to understand you do not have a treaty. Let me put this back up. Morris, I'm going to say this to you once again. You do not have a treaty with the what? District of Columbia, with the Federal Reserve. It's not a state of the. It's not a part of the United States. It's not a state. So when we start looking at this and understanding what the District of Columbia is, you got to understand it's a district. It's called the District of the Columbia. And all of these states that you're talking about, the state of, they are districts of the District of Columbia, and they go 1 through 11. So when you're dealing with the Federal Reserve System and an internal revenue system, they're collecting money for the district. And we don't have a treaty with the Federal Reserve System because it did not exist. In the United States is bankrupt. So they reincorporated under a new deal to utilize this system. So a lot of you guys, when you try to use your Moorish nationality to try to say you owe us treaty rights, it has no force of law because they're not a signatory. We don't have any contracts to show that we have jurisdiction over that Federal Reserve System. This is why you Moors keep going to jail, because you don't understand what's going on. And based upon nobody has really explained it and broke it down to you, how it needs to be identified, you guys don't get it. Let me pull up something else. I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna revisit here because I ain't got a whole lot of time. Because we got like 10 minutes left before so I want to go with the word immunity. So when you guys talking about you having immunity, you got to have tax exemption. Y'all got to understand what tax exemption is. That means you exempt from the jurisdiction, right? You got to understand what's going on in relationship to the treaties. This is why they gave you freedom of religion, because they don't have jurisdiction. And if money is your God, then you're going to be judged accordingly because you made money your God. Y'all don't read the Quran. They don't practice idolatry. That ain't what that ain't what's going on. So they're getting you, you are really outside of your scope of your religious practices, and now you worship money because you're money worshiping. You have to obey Caesar. He become your God. And if you don't understand these things and understand the importance of the corporation of these things, you're going to lose out. Let's continue. So let's look at the word internal so y'all can understand Internal Revenue Service, because I want to get up out of here and show y'all something, right? Internal means relating to the interior, comprised within the boundaries lines of an interior concern or interest, domestic or opposed to foreign. So the internal venue service, they're telling you you are in the confines of the District of Columbia because the states of or districts, you're dealing with federal districts, dealing with federal laws and policies that the states have adopted these practices, and now there are districts, they are state of, not you're not in the um, um, you're not in Texas State Republic. You're not in New York State Republic. You're not in a Kentucky State Republic. You in the state of Kentucky, which is a federal district, and within the District of Columbia, in which they have long arm jurisdiction and they're operating on the codes of the District of Columbia based on this Federal Reserve banking system. Y'all got to understand what this means. So you Moors keep talking about you ain't got to pay your taxes. You're going to go to jail if you don't have your tax status right, corrected. That is your true identity. Your true identity is your tax identification number. So let me see. I got about 8 minutes left. I wanted to go over some of these other topics, but let's get in. What is a tax identification number? Right? Because I need y'all to understand this so y'all can stop playing this game. Morris can stop playing this game and we can understand what's going on and really how to look at this. So, what is a tax identification number? Let me go back. Let me ask this. What is a tax identification number? I asked the AI on Microsoft. It says a tax identification number is a 9-digit number used by the Internal Revenue Service to track and identify taxpayers. I'm going to say this once again to y'all. The Social Security and SSN is a type of TIN, tax identification number, issued by the Social Security Administration. The Employer Identification Number, also known as a Federal Tax Identification Number. Man, y'all don't really want to go on here. An individual tax identification number is an ITIN. So you guys agree to be identified. This is your true ID. Y'all think I'm like, man, I'm gonna give you my ID, but they're tracking you as a taxpayer. I need y'all to watch this video and understand what's going on. This is why I'm gonna do the master classes so you guys can really get this information. Nobody is breaking down these topics and showing you how this stuff works, dealing with these federal districts. You got to understand what's going on, these Federal Reserve districts. So this is your boy King L Bay dropping knowledge on you all day. I'm showing you this is your true identity. They call tax identification numbers. This is why you guys, I told you that the claim and debt is synonymous. The court cannot bring you in their courtroom unless you owe a debt. A debt is owed. And I talk about the tax exemption number showing that immunity also means exemption. So you have to understand what's going on. This is your boy King L Bay dropping knowledge all day. You understand? So you guys need to understand what's going on with this information. So I just wanted to show you guys what's going on, how these different states are banks, and then broken down into 11 federal districts operating out of the District of Columbia, dealing with the Federal Reserve banking system that deals in Federal Reserve notes, in which that is their intellectual property, and by you adopting and using their system, and you don't have a financial system, you are forced to pay taxes. So do not let any more put you in a tax situation where they're trying to tell you don't pay your taxes. If you owe taxes, pay your damn taxes. Understand how to utilize this other stuff. And I break that stuff down. This is why I'm gonna be opening up information, showing you how to use understand your pleadings, understand how to properly use an affidavit, and how to properly use exhibits. I'm going to be opening up a school to show people how to properly present things so the court can follow it and track the information. It's your boy King L Bay. I'm done. I'm out. Peace and love to everybody. Just want to hit y'all with this information. Peace.